11 minutes before 9, let's change subject. If you're in employment and you're a member of a trade union, why do you join your trade union? What is the purpose of the trade union? It presumably is going to protect you and your colleagues if one of you is unfairly dismissed or whatever it might be. It seeks to get better employment protection. If you go back to the dark days of employment, it makes sure that you're even safe at work. But should it venture into the political arena? Well, for one person, when her union did, it was enough. And she'd been a member for more than 50 years. I speak of actress, West End star, all-round good egg, Dame Maureen Lipman, who joins me now. Maureen, good to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming. More than 50 years, but suddenly you said, up with this I will not put. Why?
Well, because it no longer represents me, Nick. How can it when it's instructing its members to get out to a Palestinian rally of 170,000 people and boycott goods from the Jewish state of Israel. I think perhaps it's a short-sighted view. I know that the Union of Equity has been political in the past, but I don't see them asking members to go to protest against any of the other terrible wars and conflicts in the world. I won't go through the whole thing about the Uyghurs and the Rohingyas and the Sudanese and everyone else, because I will be accused by the progressive left of whataboutism or whataboutery, which means that you can't actually have a conversation about Israel without being pulled up short, because you can't. It's an obsession, Nick, with the progressive left, an absolute obsession. So it doesn't represent me anymore. And of course, the result of that rally was elderly Jews being attacked in restaurants and cars rammed in Finchley Road. And, you know, you have to understand that a lot of people just don't know the difference between anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. Most Jewish actors in this union probably have never been to Israel or don't have an opinion, or like David Baddiel say, I don't give a toss about Israel. I'm talking about anti-Semitism here. So you are inciting something which is essentially dangerous, and that's not for me. After 54 years of giving them my daily bread, £1,000 a year, I'm thinking to myself, what the hell do I need these people for? They don't represent me.
Have you, in your career, ever been a victim of anti-Semitism? Have you ever witnessed it in your career, Maureen?
Well, it's the last 10 years, really, where it's come to a head, isn't it? But before that, absolutely not. I had a few dodgy letters when I played Joyce Grenfell saying, keep your hands off our Joyce. She was English. She was 3/4 of American, actually. But this is what we're fighting, ignorance. People just don't understand the complexity of this conflict.
Let me
sorry.
No, I was just saying you gave a very powerful interview to the Daily Telegraph, and we spoke about that a day or so ago. And what really upset me, Maureen, was that young Jewish actors were saying they've come into the profession, they hope they're not asked about their faith. Sometimes they might hide a necklace or whatever it might be, because they see it as a real obstacle to progressing. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're Jewish, you're Muslim, it doesn't matter. This should not be in a trade such as yours, should it?
Absolutely not. And particularly now, we have had a pandemic for 15 months. Actors have never, ever been lacking in employment like they have been. And of course, they don't even have the advantage of being able to waitress or do usheretting because there's no theatres and no restaurants. So they're in dire straits, and there's no money for arts education, and there's, we have an old people's home, we have pensions. There is so much that Equity should and probably is attempting to do, that the prioritising of a rally and the demonisation of the Jewish faith, because is to my mind is wrong, and she should apologise. It's an incredibly complex conflict. This, in actual fact, I think it served both sides. It's political, it's not personal. It served both sides well. Hamas got fresh kudos and lots of money coming in, and the Israel army took out 300 miles of tunnels. Now, to me, would Maureen Beattie have said to her membership, right, go out and support the IRA because they're bombing London, but they have a cause? Yeah. It's ludicrous.
Just lastly, on the political side, Maureen, Do some politicians have some responsibility here? There was at one of those rallies where an Israeli flag was set alight. Jeremy Corbyn addressed that rally. Does he need to look to himself?
I don't think he can look to himself, because Jeremy Corbyn is anti-capitalist, and as far as he sees himself, that means he's not anti-Semitic. He says he doesn't have a racist bone in his body. It's in his muscles, Nick. It's in his sinews. The mural. I could cite you so many things, and yes, it's been difficult for me since I came out against Corbyn's anti-Semitism. I've been dropped from a lot of invitations in the last couple of years, and so be it. We have to, as a race, and he doesn't believe we are a race, so how can he be racist? We have to, as a race, stand up and address this, because otherwise it's really lambs to the slaughter, and we're not going to do that. We're not going to have that. And I don't want to spend my life talking about my people, Nick. It's not what I do.
No.
So, but it's sort of thrust upon me.
And has Sir Keir won you back to the Labour fold, Maureen?
I think he did a very good job at the beginning, and I feel for him, because to be in opposition is heinous anyway, but to be in opposition against someone as slippery as Boris is truly difficult. Maybe the Labour Party has to reconstruct itself in a different way. I think he's a good man. I think they have a problem as we grow further and further to the right, which is a worry. The Equity used to be a really right-wing organisation, and we all fought that. And now it's a really left. Please, God, have you got a pendulum at LBC? Because I would like that thing to swing back to normality and look after all the various,
of course,
thoughts and feelings of its members.
Yeah.
Look, actors are trained to see both sides of the argument. You can't play Richard III if you think he's a horrible individual. You have to get behind him and see what he's seeing. And the Paul Fleming, who's backing her up, there'll be no apology, because they never apologise to Jewish people. He should say to her, if you're going to incite people to go on a rally and to boycott goods, then at least you have to state and be careful not to be anti-Semitic if you're being anti-Zionist. Just be careful. Just say that to the membership. Just show parity. That's what the union's there for.
We don't have a pendulum, but I have got a clock, and I'm afraid that our time is over. Great speaking with you. Thank you so much. Good having you on the show.